Hey, I'm Kev Kermasaka and welcome to Power Over Silver, most was shown on the ElusiveKev channel, and in today's show we will be reviewing the Sao Paulo Indy 300, the thriller in Brazil, and it was a fantastic race. It's got loads of interesting talking points, especially the end of the race, the last 5 laps, the sprint to the finish and the pass right at the end. So we normally talk about the winners and losers, the of the race, the team of the race, driver of the race, overtake of the race, but we always start with the race recap. So the race recap, and what a race it was. So let's start at the beginning, and on the front row are two Andretti Autosport guys, right onto Rayon Pole with Ernesto Viso alongside him, his first front row start in Indycar, and the start was actually quite a clean one, but behind Viso had qualified Dario Franchitti in the Chip Ganassi machine, and he got past Viso in turn 1 and was up to second. Later in that we saw Justin Wilson get past Sebastian Bourdais in turn 7, which turned in quite a good passing spot. Kanaan got past Viso down the back straight, and so the order at the end of the first lap was Ryan Hunter-Ray from Dario Franchitti, Tony Kanaan and EJ Viso behind with James Hinchcliffe rounding out the top 5. Scott Dixon, Simona Di Silvestro, Justin Wilson, Takuma Sato and Bourdais in 10th. Marco Andretti, JR Hildebrand, Oil Servia, Alex Tagliani, Anna Beatrix, Ed Carpenter, Helio Castro Neves, Tristan Volche, Graham Rahal, Will Power trying to fight his way through the field, Charlie Kimball, Sebastian Saveja, Joseph Newgarden, Simon Pagenaud and James Jakes was last. On the second lap we saw Sato get past Bourdais to turn 1 for 9th, and Newgarden got past Saveja further back down the field for 22nd. Then Viso braked himself into that last turn, the hairpin turn 11. Newgarden got past Kimball there for 21st, and Powell looked up and tapped Rahal when he was going down his inside, a gentle tap of Rahal, and he was up to 19th. On the next lap, Bourdais and then Andretti, they kind of fought into turn 1 for 10th. Then Hildebrand got past Andretti down the back straight for 11th on lap 4. On lap 6 we saw Beatrix stop on the track, unfortunately, in her home race, and she would not continue, and so that brought out the first full course caution. That is going to be quite a story of the race, and so the top 15 did not pit, but everyone below them did pit, with Bourdais and Pagenaud gaining 3 spots and Newgarden losing 4 spots due to a front nose change. He had also made contact with someone. On lap 9 it went back to green now, and Kanaan got past Franchitti into turn 1 and up to 2nd. Sato and Wilson got past Di Silvestro the first few turns for 7th and 8th. Castro Neves, he touched Will Power on the first turn, very close there, while Rahal touched Volche in the same turn as well. Kanaan got past Ryan Hunter-Ray down the back straight in the hairpin for the lead, and the crowd went wild for the next few laps. Castro Neves meanwhile was trying to fight his way through in his home race as well. He got past Jakes into the hairpin for 21st. On lap 14 Kimball got past Pagenaud for 19th into the hairpin, the main passing spot in this race. On lap 16 Dixon got past Viso for 5th, and Saveja pitted for a new front nose. On lap 17 Power got past Rahal for 11th into the hairpin and was really charging through the field, but unfortunately on lap 18 there was a problem for Will Power. He had a bit of a fire on his car and had to stop, and so that brought out the second full course caution. And so about the quarter-way mark on lap 19 of this 75 lap race, the order was Tony Kanaan leading his home race from Ryan Hunter-Ray, and Kanaan in his 200 consecutive appearance in the series. Dario Franchitti was 3rd, James Hinchcliffe 4th, Scott Dixon, Takuma Sato, EJ Viso, Simona Di Silvestro, Justin Wilson, JR Hildebrand in the top 10, Tristan Volche, Marco Andretti, Sebastian Bourdais, Alex Tagliani, Oil Serbia in 15th, Helio Castro Neves still down in 16th, Ed Carpenter, Joseph Newgarden, Simon Pagenaud, Charlie Kimball, James Jakes, Graham Rahal and Sebastian Saveja. On lap 21, everybody didn't pit in the first caution, decided to enter the pits once they were open. Hildebrand gained 4 spots and Serbia and Dixon gained 3. and Sato gained 2. The big loser, James Hinchcliffe, he lost 3 spots with Viso, Franchitti and Canon all losing 2 spots. And on that 22, the top 9 was comprised of these cars who did not pit. So Sebastian Bourdais was leading for Alex Tagliani, Castro Neves, Newgarden, Pagenaud, Kimball, Jakes, Rahal and Cerveja. Ryan Hunter was first of the pitters in 10th ahead of Dixon, Canon, Sato, Franchitti, Hildebrand, Hinchcliffe, Di Silvestro, Viso, Serbia, Andretti, Fortier, Carpenter and Wilson, who had a problem with his pit stop. On that 24, it went back to green though, and Castro Neves outbraked himself, going for second into turn 1. He came back out in 7th behind Hunter Ray, who obviously made some moves in that first turn as well. Bourdais, he kind of got into the back end of those tyres and his back end kind of got away and he clipped those tyres, and further back James Jakes went into those tyres. Carpenter went into the wall and Graham Rahal unfortunately kind of got trapped behind his teammate, and so it was another full course caution out as he was kind of trapped behind his teammate who had anti-stall kind of kicking in on the exit. So unfortunately for the Rahal Letterman Nagman team there, that caution only lasted a couple of laps. On that 26, it went back to green and Newgarden got into the back of board. They slightly touched him into turn 1, but there's no wheel damage done. Heyo Castro spun round by Dixon as he was trying to avoid Kimball, who went into the wall, and Pagenaud trying to avoid Kimball, so he's trying to avoid Pagenaud, and it was kind of unfortunate. And Brian Hunter-Ray, he went up to 3rd. Sato got past Kimball into that turn 7 for 6th when Kimball got going again. Castro had to pit. That 27 next up, Volte got past Rahal in turn 1 for 16th, and Sato got past Canon into turn 5 for 5th. Canon dropping back a bit. That 29, Kimball, he had a look at Canon for 6th into that hairpin. On the next lap, he got past Canon with the help of push to pass into that hairpin for 6th. Push to pass was a bit important near the end of the race. That 32, Andretti, he was defending hard from Di Silvestro for 13th into turn 1. That 33, Bourdais, Newgarden and Kimball all pitted, but Bourdais, he missed his pit in the pit lane, and unfortunately that kind of cost him time. That 34, Sato got past Hunter into turn 5 for the lead. On that 37, Silva got past Hildebrand for 6th, but Graham Rahal crashed into turn 1, kind of went in a bit too hard, clipped the inside tyre wall and went into the outside wall, damaged his front wing. That had a bit of, it seemed like suspension damage, but he did continue afterwards a bit 4 laps down though. And so the order at the end of this lap, around the halfway mark, was Sato leading from Hunter Ray, Canon in 3rd, and Franchitti 4th, and Doc Dixon even in 5th. So good race for Chip Ganassi so far. Serbia was 6th, Hildebrand 7th, Cerveja 8th, Andretti 9th, and Di Silvestro 10th. Wilson, Viso 11th, then Wilson in 12th. Hinchcliffe, Vautier, Jakes, Carpenter, Newgarden, Castro Neves down in 18th, Tagliani, Pagenaud, Rahal, Kimball and Bourdais. Sato pitted from the lead once they were open on the next lap. He changed from blacks to reds, which he would make last until the end of the race. Amazingly, there was a bit of an issue with the left rear tyre and he came out ahead of Kimball in 21st. On that 40, he went back to green. Now here, Hunter Ray, he kind of locked up into the first turn but kept the lead. Andretti also locked up into turn 5. Major lock up on the front right, but somehow made a hold it into the corner, and Serbia, great defending on the outside, kept round his outside for the next 3 turns and held on to 4th. Pagenaud, Castro Neves, Bourdais, Hildebrand and Kimball though were all blocked in turn 8. This was after Castro Neves was a bit slow, got hit from behind by Bourdais, but Castro was never making that turn anyway, and so he just kind of blocked the road with Pagenaud trying to go round the outside of him, trying to avoid it, but he kind of got blocked by Castro Neves, unfortunately. Same with Hildebrand and Kimball. So again, the full course caution was out. Castro Neves had a damaged front ring and a right rear that was punctured, and he was out in last place after all of this, unfortunately, ahead of Rahal only. So on that 41, we did see Castro Neves get pit after being jump started by the safety crew, and we also saw Sato pit again for a splash of fuel, and he came out in 18th. On that 43, Pagenaud, Bourdais and Castroneves all had to do a drive through the pits as they pitted when the pits were closed, and so that was kind of their penalty. On that 44 though, it went back to green after only 4 laps of caution. Andretti got past Servia down the inside into turn 3 for 4th, quite an unusual passing spot. Pagenaud got past Bourdais further down the field. Canaan, he kind of did a great switchback move on Hunter out of the hairpin for 1st. Andretti got past Franchitti for 3rd in the same spot, and Wilson and Hinchcliffe were also making moves further down the field. On that 45, Andretti got past Hunter for 2nd, and so went past Franchitti for 4th in turn 5. Andretti was past Canaan into the hairpin for the lead, and Franchitti was past Hunter for 5th. Hunter pitted on that 46 with a flat tyre though, and he came out of the pit. Well, he came out onto red for the final stint. Servia also pitted in the Dragon Racing machine. Servia though, he got past Canaan into turn 5 for 2nd. Franchitti got past Canaan as well down the back straight for 3rd, and Viso was up to 5th. And on the next lap, Viso, he was down the inside of Canaan into that hairpin for 4th, so the hometown hero was slipping down the field. And on that 49, Viso knocked down the inside of Franchitti into their hairpin. On that 50, Serbia pitted from 2nd for the final time, and Canaan was slowing down the back straight. Tagliani Roimo was going down the inside of Newgarden for 8th. On that 51, Wilson, Viso, Carpenter, Franchitti, Tagliani, Di Silvestro, Kimball, Bourdais and Castroneves all pitted for the final time. And this was before Tony Kanaan did stop on the front straight. He was out of fuel, and this meant the full course caution came out again. On the next lap, Andretti, Hinchcliffe, Sato and Pagenaud all pitted. That 54, Hildebrand, he was leading as it went green. Hinchcliffe and Sato, they went past Andretti in turn 1 for 2nd and 3rd. Great moves on them on the restart. Rahal, he restarted alongside Hildebrand at the front, but he, of course, as I said, was 4 laps down. Newgarden was in 5th. Great move from the bracket seemed, and Sato was down the inside of Hinchcliffe at the hairpin for 2nd. That 55 ran. Andretti knocked down the inside of Hinchcliffe, his teammate, into turn 1, but couldn't quite get past. James Jakes was into the wall at turn 6, and Justin Wilson in turn 5, so the full course caution came out again. Hildebrand pitted from the lead on that 56, and Dixon had to make a nose change on his last pit stop when he was down in 19th. Now, on that 59, though, it went back to green after 4 laps of caution, and Newgarden was past Hinchcliffe in turn 1 for 2nd. Pagenaud went round the outside of Hinchcliffe into turn 5 for 3rd, and so the order entering the last 15 laps was Sato from Newgarden, Pagenaud, Hinchcliffe, Servia, Andretti, Hunter Ray, Franchitti, Viso, Kimball, Tagliani, Di Silvestro, Volge, Bourdais, Castroneves, Servia, Savasia, I always say that wrong, Dixon, Carpenter, Hildebrand, Jakes, Wilson 2 laps down, Canaan 3 laps down, and Rahal 4 laps down. On lap 63, Hinchcliffe with push to pass went round the outside of Pagenaud into the headband, but Pagenaud kept it round the outside and kept his position into turn 1. Lap 64, Hunter Ray was dropping back, having to save fuel a bit. He was down behind Franchitti and Viso now. Castroneves was past Bourdais in the turn of the hairpin for 14th. Lap 65, Di Silvestro was past Kimball for 10th, and Bourdais was back past Castroneves for 14th. Good batting from the veterans there. Lap 67, Kimball, he went past Hunter Ray for 10th in turn 5 after Di Silvestro had already passed him. Hinchcliffe went round the outside of Pagenaud, this time in the hairpin for 3rd. Lap 69, Newgarden would push the pass, tried to go round the outside into turn 5, but Sato defended, and Sato then locked up into the hairpin but kind of held on, and Sato was under lots of pressure for these last remaining laps. Lap 70, Andretti was past Pagenaud for 4th, as Pagenaud seemed he had to save fuel as well. Hinchcliffe, though, was the fastest driver on the track and gaining on the top 2, had built a bit of a gap, but now Hinchcliffe was gaining plus half a second on them in these few laps. Sato defended hard from Newgarden down the back straight while he's using his push to pass on lap 71. So a possible first drop, but Barfield, the race director, looked at it and he saw nothing wrong. Lap 72, Hinchcliffe with push to pass was down the inside of Newgarden into the hairpin for second. Lap 72, Pagano, he was dropping back down the field, was down to 9th behind Di Silvestro, who passed him into the hairpin on the previous lap. Sato was defending hard against Hinchcliffe as they both used their push to pass. Lap 74, Hinchcliffe, he had a look round the outside of Newgarden and then had a look down the inside of Sato, and they stayed in second and third though. And then on the final lap, Andretti, he went past Newgarden for third into turn 5. Hinchcliffe with his push to pass got blocked hard by Sato down the back straight. Sato again moving across, but it seemed like nothing was wrong with that as well. But he didn't look round the outside into the hairpin, then cut back. The Sato kind of locked up a bit into the hairpin, went down his inside, charged for the line and grabbed the win in the last corner. Serbia also got past Newgarden for fourth in the hairpin, and so the final finishing order was Hinchcliffe for his second win of the season, ahead of Sato, Andretti, another podium for Marco, Oil Serbia in fourth, Joseph Newgarden for his first top 5 in IndyCar, EJ Viso 6th, Dario Franchitti 7th, Simona Di Silvestro 8th, Simon Pedro 9th, Charlie Kimball 10th, Ryan Hunter 8th, 11th, Alex Taglioni 12th, Harry Cushiono 13th, Sebastian Boy 14th, JR Hildebrand 15th, Tristan Volte 16th, James Chase 17th, Scott Dixon down in 18th, Sebastian Zavajan 19th, Justin Wilson 20th, 2 laps down, Kanan 21st, 3 laps down, Graham Rahal and Ed Carpenter 4 laps down. Will Power and Anna Beatrix were tied, and that is your race recap. And let's go on to the winners and losers. So the winners and losers from this race from the Sao Paulo Indy 300. Well, as I said, it's quite a thrilling end, especially those last laps after the last full course caution, and it was just passing all the way, especially on that last lap. The lead was not decided until the last corner, and how many times can you say that on a road or street course racing in IndyCar? So he was winning any race across the world. It was brilliant to watch, especially towards the end. As I said, there was quite a lot of caution, which is, quite a lot of caution. That's, it was a bit disappointing, but you got to show the ads sometimes, and that's when they do it. And so the winners and losers, well, of course, Andretti and James Hinchcliffe up there. Marco Andretti, well, up there he won. Marco Andretti in third, Ryan Hunter 8 in 11th, and EJ Viso in 6th. Great day for Andretti Autosport. Shame for Hunter 8, they had kind of saved fuel at the end there, and that kind of cost him a few places, but very solid result for him. EJ Viso continuing, a good start to the year, showing some good maturity, and of course starting on the front row his first time in IndyCar, so very good signs for EJ heading into kind of the oval section now of the calendar. And of course Marco Andretti now second in the championship on 123 points, 13 behind Sato's there, so brilliant start to the year for Andretti, and he's the only guy he started the year with top 10s. He's got top 10s in every round, so great start to the year for Andretti. And of course Hinchcliffe winning, and he's had a strange season, Hinchcliffe. He's either won or finished last, and he finished last in the last 2 races, of course won in St. Petersburg, so he'll be hoping to get a bit more consistent down the stretch. But even despite this, in the championship he's still only about 24 points behind Sato, so great race for Andretti Autosport, and great setup in the standings for their drivers as well. As I said, Andretti second, Hinchcliffe fourth, Hunter 8 in 6th, and Viso is right up there as well. So Andretti Autosport, great race for them. Also a great race for Joseph Newgarden, Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Machine. He was a bit like a dog wagging its tail after that last caution. He's trying so hard to get past Sato, and then he kind of dropped back a bit, and then he went and charged again, and he got a bit too eager. He kind of burned up his rear tyres, and so he dropped down the order late in the race and finished in 5th, but still his first top 5 finish. Great result heading into the Indy 500, and kind of their home race there, Fisher Hartman Racing, as they have their new shop, right down the road from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So brilliant result for Joseph Newgarden, and he's really showing signs this year that he has speed. We saw it last year as well, but he's also trying to get results, and he's got a couple of good results this year already, 2 top 10s, and so very encouraging sides for him and for the Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing team. Takuma Sato and AJ Foyt, big winners again, and of course Sato leading the championship. When was the last time he led a championship? I think we have to go back to his F3 days again in 2001. Amazing start to the year for them, and first and second, trying to be the first guy since AJ Allmendinger in 2006 to win his first 2 races in an American Open World Series back to back, and unfortunately he didn't quite do it in the last corner. Just a slight lock-up, slight gap for Hinchcliffe, and Hinchcliffe bit and went through it and took advantage of that. Great move on Hinchcliffe, and just unlucky for Sato. He did do a couple of big chopping moves. Well, I say a couple. The second one on Hinchcliffe, or the first one, sorry, on Newgarden, I'm not really sure that's a chopping move. He kind of was already across, and Newgarden kind of did this big swerve from left to right and then back to left again. So outside, inside, outside, while Sato was on the inside. The one on Hinchcliffe was a bit more dubious, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt at the moment. If he does it again no later in the year, expect him to be punished, I think. And so Sato, great start to the year, and it looks like he's really gelling with that machine, with that team, with Larry Floyd leading it in the absence of his father, and he seems to have a very good leadership quality there. It seems he's bringing the best out of Sato and bringing the best out of that team, with the pit stops especially as well. In previous years they've kind of struggled with that, but this year they seem to be right on it in the pit stop phase. So yeah, very good result for Takuma Sato and AJ Foyt again. Oyo Servia in the Panther Giant Reinbold Racing machine, which might not appear after the Indy 500, but a top 4, another top 10 on the back of that Long Beach result. Great result from Serbia, and brilliant drive from him, another veteran drive, as I would say. But hopefully this will give them funds. Hopefully this will attract sponsors. That they got a guy here who's been in the series a long time. He can produce results. He can give it good exposure to these sponsors. He ran right up there. In the last stages, and so yeah, hopefully they can find sponsorship. Hopefully he can get a great result in Indy again, like he did last year in the top 5. And if he does that, I'm sure they will get sponsors and continue. I really do hope they continue. Serbia, fantastic driver. He may not win a lot, but he's very consistent. He's kind of the Nick Heidfeld of IndyCar, and so I do hope to see that team continue driving Reinbold. Hope they find sponsors in partnership with Panther, of course, running that car. Chip Ganassi and Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon. Really disappointing for Dixon in the end, running top 10 for most of that race, and of course had that nose change, dropped him down the order, and he didn't really do much in the last part of that race, which is a bit strange. He just stayed down there, unfortunately. So yeah, a bit disappointing for Dixon, but he's had a bit more of a solid start to the year than he did last year at least. So hopefully that bodes well for him going into the Indy 500. It's much more encouraging from Honda, and it was actually kind of strange. It was a 5-5 split in the top 10, then another 5-5 split from 11th to 20th, so it was a 10-10 split in the top 20, which is good to see. That is quite even between Chevrolet and Honda, it seems. And Dario Franchitti in the top 10, another solid result for him off the back of Long Beach, and I'm sure he'll be happy with that. A bit disappointed probably not to be in the top 5, but it seemed like his race pace wasn't quite there at times. He went a bit missing and kind of got shuffled back in during these crazy pit stop phases that you have in IndyCar with all these cautions appearing, and he had a record number of cautions in this race. I think it was 7, and he had beaten the previous record of 6. And in the previous years, actually, they're saying commentary, it was either 6 cautions or 5 cautions, so they just beat it this year. Maybe they can go for 8 next year. But yeah, and Kitty, very encouraging coming up to Indy, defending the Indy 500 crown, of course, and hoping to come in a 4-time winner alongside Jairo Castaneves, and they're both hoping to join that elite club of 4-time winners at the Indy 500. And what better way to carry momentum into that, by producing very well here in Sao Paulo and of course in Long Beach previously. And Charlie Kimball in the other machine, good top 10, I think it was. Yeah, top 10 in 10th. And he's 10th in the standing. So, another solid result for Kimball, and he's looking very solid in the championship, and that's very encouraging, for the team that they do have. He's not really in the works part, but he kind of is, Kimball, in that third car, but he is producing results this year, and so that's very good to see for him and good for the Ganassi organisation, I'll say then. So, yeah, good for Ganassi. Penske, haven't talked about them, have we? Caught out in qualifying, caught out in the race, it seems, and Casher Neves, he was banging everything. He was, apart from the Brazilian crowd, some of the leaders, but he was everywhere on that track in that race. He had a couple of spins, he had damage to his front wing, he was puncturing, he was blocking the road, he was making passes, getting past, and in the end he came 13th, and it's not quite the result he probably would have wanted, but I think he might be happy with that considering the day he had. And so yeah, that was kind of a bit of a save, even though he's kind of in the midfield. I was saying it was a bit of a save from with all accounts, he probably should have been near the back of the field, but yeah, 13th in the end. And of course, Will Power retiring after had brilliant pace in the few laps before he retired, and then his car just caught fire. It was so fast his car couldn't keep up with it and caught fire. But yeah, it's disappointing for Power. I've got it down here. He's down in 16th in the championship, I think. Yeah, so he's really unlucky this year. Even in Barber, when he got a good result, they were kind of forced onto an alternate strategy when he kind of went wide at the start, and so it's just not working out for Power. And it's not going to help that he's going to Indy 500 race. He's not had good history, let's just say. And last year he had that massive accident with Conway, of course. So, yeah, a bit of a disappointing race, very disappointing race for Penske. But they're going to their stronghold there in Indy. Then we've got, who else? We've got Barracuda racing, Alex Tagliani in 12th. Very good result for him. I'll say very good. I'll say good result. He was kind of stuck in that midfield for most of the race. A couple of times he was up there, a couple of times he was back, but he's stuck in the midfield for most of the race. So good result for Tagliani. We've got, let's see if I get this right, Smeet, Peterson, Hamilton, HP Motorsports. So I got it right. So yeah, Simon Pagenaud in 9th. Kind of dropped back again with real saving, but a good recovery drive from him. And Tristan Voltre down in 16th. And he was one of these guys fighting his way from the back and really got up there at some stage in the race, where again it seemed like he got caught out near the end, and so he dropped back a bit like J.R. Hildebrand in the Panther Racing Machine as well. He dropped back as well late in that race, unfortunately, Hildebrand, and he was right up there leading as well. Really encouraging to see him leading, even if it was just because of strategy, but he was right up there, and he just really didn't make ground in the end at the end of the race in 15th, behind Sebastian Bourdais and the Dragon Racing crew. Disappointing result again for them, 15th and 19th, and both of the guys were right up there. Of course, Bourdais led the race for a fraction of it, Savage was in the top 10 for parts of it, and then had to make off strategy pit stops and had damage. It was just disappointing for Dragon, and this was the race where the 2012 spec tyres came, and in qualifying it's encouraging for them. Bourdais right in there in the top 10 with his best qualifying of the year so far, and they looked more competitive, but they just got caught out in the race, it seems. So it was a tricky race to navigate, especially as you saw, I think I said Hinchcliffe with 15 laps to go was like near the bottom of the top 10, and then he just charged through in those last few. So yeah, very difficult race to judge, and it seemed like Dragon caught out them, but encouraging pace heading to Indy. We also got KV Racing, and then we've got Rahal Mananagan, and then Carpenter Racing. So, Delcorn Racing, never forget Delcorn Racing. So let's start with KV Racing. Di Silvestro, solid top 10 result in 8th. She was always hanging around in that kind of area around, say, 7th to 14th. She was always around that area, that race. So it's a very good result for her, and very encouraging in the championship as well, in the top 10 in 9th, and so much better than her HVM days. I bet she's really happy that she's got a competitive car and she's kind of showing what she can do now. And well, we're all waiting for that big podium, that big result from her, and hopefully she can do that in, say, Detroit at the beginning of June after Indy 500. And so, yeah, very encouraging for her, and such a shame for Tony Kanaan leading the race and then running out of fuel and just one lap too many stayed out. And it's so unfortunate. It was kind of miscommunication, I'm guessing, between the pits and the driver there. And leading his home race, you could see it, you could hear it in the crowd. They were very disappointed seeing him stop on the front stretch, bringing out that full course caution, and just can't catch a break, Tony Kanaan, can he? And he had that accident in Long Beach, but he was a good fighter this race. He kind of injured tendons in his right hand from that incident with Serbia in Long Beach, and he could barely, take his gloves off or help take his left-hand glove off with his right hand in practice. But he soldiered on, and he kept soldiering on in the race. It looked like it was going to be his race, really, at times. It looked like he was going to win it. He's not going to be right up there, at least in the top 5 as well. So it's such a shame to see him fail and have a bit of a Rubens Barrichello home race, unfortunately for him. And so, yeah, he's going to the Indy 500 where he came third last year. I'm sure he'll do very well there again. Delcorn Racing, Justin Wilson and Anna Beatrix. Justin Wilson, dodgy pit stop, and he had that big accident in turn 5 where he went into the wall. And yeah, just a shame for Wilson. At times he showed great pace as well in that race, and it just did not work out for him. Anna Beatrix stopped very early on with, I think, electronic problems. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but such a shame for Beatrix in her home race. And she looked very solid in that first part of the race, holding off real power and really fighting hard in that midfield fight with Pagano, I remember. So such a shame for her to retire in her home race when she looked very strong, and she looked good at the end of the last race in Long Beach, holding off Bourdais, if I remember, Bourdais and Power, if I remember. So yeah, such a shame for her. But going into Indy, she's showing encouraging pace, so if it will work out at Indy for her. Rahal Lemanagan, Rahal and Jakes. Well, Rahal bit eager on the brakes at times. Jakes bit eager at the brakes at times into turn 1. They really did not like turn 1 this race, these guys, did they? Rahal went into the wall, Jakes went into the tyres, and when Jakes went into the tyres, he held up Rahal behind because his anti-stall kicked in. And so yeah, it's just a race to forget for Rahal Lemanagan. And it's such a shame. At times they showed pace as well again, and yeah, it just did not work out for them at all. So they're hoping for much better, I'm guessing, in Indy 500, especially Rahal. I think he could be a challenger there. And that leaves, if I got this right, Ed Carpenter Racing. So Ed Carpenter finished last. Don't know what happened at the end. He was just 4 laps down. He from nowhere, he's 4 laps down. Yeah, but he showed good pace there, Ed Carpenter. He qualified quite well. So very encouraging for Ed on these road and street courses, that he is showing some pace. And of course, Indy 500, he was so fast there last year until he had that spin, unfortunately. So hopefully it works out for Ed this year, the Indy 500. Again, I'll put him as a dark horse for that race this year. And you always got to look out for Ed on the ovals, even though he is showing good signs, as I said, improving on the road and street courses. So that is the winners and losers. Let's look at of the race. So, of the race and driver of the race, oh god, there are so many candidates of the race. You got James Hinchcliffe, of course, you got Takuma Sato, lasting half a race on those red tyres, remember, and finishing second. Great job from him. Marco Andretti really coming on strong in that last part of the race. Oil Serbia being up there, Joseph Newgarden, EJ Viso keeping clean of trouble, finishing in the top 6. You've got maybe Will Power as well, but maybe he didn't last long enough in the race, unfortunately, until his car expired. Tony Kanaan maybe for being right up there until he ran out of fuel. So many candidates, and I'm not really sure who to give it to. I think I have to give it to Hinchcliffe though, for just fighting hard and then never giving up and taking that last opportunity to win the race. And it really shows maybe a change of mentality this year where he's really going for the win. Last year we saw him in very strong positions, particularly in the first half of the race, but I'm not really sure if I felt he would win the race. I felt like he would just settle for the top 5. Now it looks like he's going to really win the race. I really do feel he would charge through and win that race, and like he did here. And so I'll give it to Hinchcliffe just because that was a great move at the last, never giving up and taking like a very slight opportunity and grabbing it. And so I'll give it to Hinchcliffe for that last corner move. Team of the race, well, I've got to give it to Andretti Autosport. I feel with Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing being a close second, with Panther and Giant Robot Racing with Oil Serbia, because Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, it just works out strategy side for them, and then Newgarden showed great pace near the end, and he just burned up his tyres a bit, unfortunately. And so maybe with experience he would learn to save them a bit more, and pick his opportunities to get past Sato a bit better, because sometimes he went for a move which he used up his push to pass, burns out his push to pass. He had a couple more than Sato near the end, but you kind of used them in areas where you kind of not close enough to get past him. He had one really good opportunity, but Sato managed to block him off. So yeah, new guy, maybe got some experience from the guy who finished ahead of him, like Oil Serbia there. But yeah, Andretti Autosport, all cars in the top 11. It was a great race for them, even if Ryan Hunter-Reay even had to drop back a bit towards the end, saving fuel. It was still a great race for them. An overtake of the race, well, I've got to give it to Hinchcliffe for that last corner move for the win. There were some good candidates, such as I think Pagenaud around the outside in turn 5, and Hinchcliffe previously round the outside of Pagenaud in that hairpin. That was a great move. But I'm going to give it to Hinchcliffe for that last move in the hairpin, mainly because it was maybe a chance that really shouldn't have been there. He should, because started marginally outbraked himself, and so it was maybe a chance he didn't expect, but he just took it, and it got him the win at the very last corner. And you're not going to say that often in races. So yeah, Hinchcliffe for his last corner move on Sato. And so that is my review of the Sao Paulo Indy 300. And the next race, don't get too excited, it is the Indy 500, the Indianapolis 500, showcase of the Indy 500, greatest spectacle in racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the end of May, of the first big Triple Crown weekend in motorsport at the end of May, with the Coca-Cola 600 in NASCAR and of course the Monaco Grand Prix in F1. So that is a day you're going to be stuck inside if you enjoy motorsport. But yeah, I'll be back with a preview of that, and I'm thinking of doing a power oversteer, just covering the first 4 races, looking at who's done well and not, and looking ahead for the rest of the year. Just give kind of a report of the first 4 races. And so yeah, I might do a power oversteer on that, because well, we've got a few weeks before the Indy 500. I'm going to do my preview next week, I think, before all the qualifying, and then I'm going to maybe do that review or report of the first 4 reasons of the season so far the week after. But until then, so I'm out for watching. So till next time, cheerio.